Friends, welcome back to the podcast. I have showered. I am up and moving. I've been under the weather. I'm back to the life of the living. So thank you for those of you that sent me DMs on Instagram wondering if I was still alive. I am, and here to talk about it. So what we are going to talk about on this podcast today is whether or not blogging is still like a thing. Okay. So listen, Linda, let me just say this right off the bat. Some of you are not going to like what I am about to say. You're not going to love it. And you're going to want to send me DMs and you're going to want to leave me comments on YouTube. And that's fine. With having 20,000 clients over the last 10 years, with 1,500 women in my monthly group, with 55 women in my mastermind, hundreds of women that take my Better Way program every year, I can tell you that I know business in the online space. Okay. I know where people are making money. I know what is successful. I know where the trends are headed. Okay. Now, with that being said, of course, there are always exceptions. Of course, Lisa over here is still making $10,000 a month off a blog, but let me just say that Lisa is an exception. Okay. What I want to talk about is blogging in the year 2023, because like back in the day, it makes me sound like a dinosaur, doesn't it? Oh my gosh. Lots and lots of people had a blog. How many of you can remember reading blogs for hours? I mean, there was Zenga, there was Blogger, there was Blogspot. I had a blog at the magicbrushinc.blogspot.com, I believe, that I started before we had Ava, and Ava's getting ready to turn 16. By the way, can you guys even believe that? How is our Ava baby going to be 16 soon? So anywho, I have been blogging for at least, I started my blog 16, 17 years ago. Okay. So I can just tell you this, business has changed so much in the last 15 years. And while blogging can still be profitable for some people, it's not like the normal results. It's not the quickest and it's not the easiest. I feel like one of those like weight loss commercials where, you see an ad on Facebook and it's like, these are not normal results. And so if you're like, yeah, but I heard that Sally over here is still kicking butt on her blog and still making several thousands of dollars a month, off a blog she's had for years. Well, that's great. But I'm telling you that it's not by and large. Is that how you say that saying? By and large? It's not by and large what is normal today or average today, especially if you're just starting your blog. Okay. So let's just say this right off the bat, the way people get paid from their blog is in two ways. Okay. Number one, it's by having ads on your blog, which means you hit somebody's blog. And by the way, I still have a blog at jenniferallwoodhome.com. Okay. So I haven't blogged there in at least a year, but you can go look at it. So it's all home projects from us remodeling our VRBO that's in Florida, Bougie on the Beach. And then, and I haven't even bothered to blog about Bougie in the Desert, which is outside of Scottsdale. So anyhow, if you go to that, you will see ads on my blog. So you get paid from your blog in two ways. One is you have ads, and two is you have sponsored content. What do you mean by sponsored content, Jen? Okay, so for some of you who have followed me for a hot minute, by the way, you're my favorite. Thank you. You can remember when I used to do blog posts for Hobby Lobby. You can remember when I used to blog on occasion for Pier 1, did some blog posts for TJ Maxx. Those were all sponsored, meaning they were all paying me to write the blog, promote the blog, use their products in the photos. Does that make sense? So that's how you get paid to blog, either with ads or with sponsored content. So here's why blogging has changed so much. Okay. To get paid via ads, you have to have traffic to your blog. And the truth is that traffic has not gotten easier to get. One, because there's just so many more people in the online space. Two, because getting people to leave, let's say, a platform like Facebook and go to your blog, or Instagram and go to your blog, has gotten to be more of a challenge, because platforms like Facebook and Instagram, they ding you for taking people off of their platform and sending them to your own platform. So the reach goes down. So traffic isn't as easy as it used to be. Now, of course, you can send people from your email list over to your blog, but that requires you have an email list. So it's interesting, because the people that are still doing well with blogs, they have something in addition. They either have a great sized email list, and I'm talking thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers, or they have an incredible social media following, or they have been around for a long, long time. Ads require traffic, and the traffic either has to come from a big email list, a lot of people following you on social media, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Now, for the sponsored content, most companies, and not all, I'm not saying all, but a lot of companies have moved from paying people to write blog posts. They've shifted over to paying people to do reels and paying people to do like static posts on Instagram and or Facebook. So you'll see a lot of influencers, words are hard. I'm still hopped up on Mucinex. You will see a lot of influencers doing reels, and it'll say like hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored. And so they're promoting products that they may or may not love, that they may or may not use, because they're being paid to do that. Or maybe you'll just see stories. It maybe won't even be a full reel. Maybe it'll just be stories that people, are getting paid to promote clothes from a boutique, makeup from a company, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But sponsored content, the majority of it has really moved away from blogs to more sponsored content in terms of like reels and static posts and stories. Okay. So, the thing about blogging is this: to have a blog that is still really financially profitable in the year 2023, you've got to have a lot of content on the blog. You've got to have a lot of posts. There has to be a lot of words. You have to understand SEO, which is search engine optimization, which means you understand keywords. You understand how to title things that people are going to search for. You understand how to get those keywords into your copy. You need to understand like backlinking and those sorts of things. And I just think that for the majority of people, that's just no longer a great strategy. I think that blogging, if you've done it for years, you can still be profitable. So I've done, my blog at Jennifer Allwood Home, which used to be the Magic Brush Inc.blogspot or whatever. But so I've had that again for 16, 17 years. I think the most I have ever made off of my blog was like $2,500 a month. And now I've quit blogging for the last, at least a year. We still make $300 to $500 a month on just people seeing stuff on Pinterest and still, showing up over there. I am rarely ever sending people from my current social media over to my blog. They're stumbling across old pins on Pinterest and going over to look. Does that make sense? So yes, there are people who are still making money off of blogging, but a lot of them started a decade ago. Or they have a large social media following that they can drive people to their blog. But gone are the days of having like a profitable, mommy blog, which covered everything from potty training to decluttering to essential oils and meal planning and DIY. Remember those? Remember when that was profitable and people loved that? And I just think that that's no more. I think that you're having to niche way down. Now, I do think that, the whole potty training and decluttering and meal planning, essential oils, like if you are an influencer, you can be still making money off that on your Instagram, especially, and on stories. There are still plenty of people that I follow. I'm thinking of like Jennifer Reed, King of Sequins, Laura Beverline. Who else am I thinking of? Addison's Wonderland. Like those sorts of people, they're getting a lot of money, I'm assuming, or they wouldn't keep doing it, off of sending people from their platform. Most of them are on Instagram, and most of them are doing Instagram stories. They're talking about things, a variety of things, but it's because they all have large followings. Does that make sense? So here's a couple reasons why I think that the number of people blogging has declined and the amount of revenue that you're able to make off blogging has declined. Okay. Number one, there's just way more information online than ever before. Number two, I think our attention spans are shorter than ever before. There are studies that show our attention span at this point is like 8 seconds, where it used to be 12 seconds a couple years ago, but COVID has changed a lot, including our attention spans. And so that, plays into effect, because you have to have some sort of an attention span to sit and read. Okay. And the truth is people just aren't sitting around and reading blogs like they used to. What they are doing is they're consuming video and they are consuming audio. And so they're consuming things like TikTok videos. They're consuming things like YouTube videos. And by the way, if you're not following me on YouTube, you should, because Easton Allwood has done a great job of resuscitating my account. They're consuming podcasts. So I want you to really think of what I have seen as a transition from blogging. I really think has transitioned more into, blogging was popular and now it's like reels and podcasts. It's content that people can consume while they're waiting in line somewhere, while they're driving their kiddos to a soccer practice, while they're walking the dogs, while they're folding the laundry. I think even, I'll go out on a limb and say, I think podcasting is even like the new blogging. I think that there is something about hearing somebody's voice that feels more personal, and people have been missing that since 2020 hit. And I think that the audio, the voice thing automatically connects people to you in ways that maybe you typing out words on a blog just cannot. And again, if you're doing video, if you're doing a podcast, people can listen to that on a plane. They can listen to that while they're driving. They're able to, put in their earbuds and sit through, high school class, Ava Allwood, with one earphone in. Earphone, earbud, earplug. What are they actually called? Can somebody let me know? How old am I? Are they earbuds? Are they AirPods? I don't even know. And now I'm seeing like that people are wanting, like, if you're watching me on YouTube, you see what I'm doing right now, but those big headsets that cover your ears. And I'm like, no. I just finally got used to the little things and figured out how not to lose them. So no. So back to me thinking that in a way, podcasting is even like the new blogging. If some of you are listening right now and you're like, well, Jen, I don't want to start a podcast. Listen, like, I totally get it. I've been doing the Jennifer Allwood Show for 5 years now. We have well over 400 different episodes, maybe even 500 at this point, because we used to do the Monday Fire and those were numbered differently and that was a whole mess. But anyway, even if you're somebody that doesn't want to start your own podcast, you can still get free marketing for your business by leveraging other people's podcasts. So if you can get on other people's podcasts, that's really a great way for you to get in front of new audiences, to get your product in front of new people or your course in front of new people or what have you. Especially if whoever is interviewing you for the podcast will allow you to give out a freebie and opt-in while you're on the podcast so you can get people onto your email list. So hopefully you're listening to me right now and A, you have an email list, B, you have a great freebie. If you don't, why not? Oh my gosh, get in one of my coaching groups. So if you're like, okay, Jen, so that's great. So you changed my mind about blogging. I'm not going to try to attempt a blog in 2023. I think what I'll do instead is try to get on some people's podcasts. Okay, great. So if you're thinking, okay, but how do I do that? How do I actually try to find podcasts to get onto? Well, there's a couple of different ways. You can hire a service. There are people out there who will you hire them to get you onto different people's podcasts. We hired a company like that several years ago. I would say it was probably 4-ish years ago. I think it was when I was writing Fear is Not the Boss of You. And so we hired, I believe it's called Podcast Valet, and don't quote me on this, but I think it was like a $3,000 package to get me on like 10 different people's podcasts or something. And basically like they interview you and they want to know like what kind of podcasts do you want to be on? Which ones would be a good fit for you? Who is mostly your audience going to be? I'm like Christian women. So, keep me off all the woo-woo podcasts. You know what I'm saying? So like they really help you get matched up with people that you perhaps have never even heard of, but who have audiences that would resonate with you. So that's one option. Another option is you pitching yourself to be on other people's podcasts. And so if you don't want to spend money for a podcasting, matching service, you can definitely pitch yourself. And if you need some help on doing that, I've got a freebie for you. Okay. Somebody write this down. If you go to jenniferallwood.com/podcast guest, that's going to give you some help on pitching yourself to be on somebody's podcast. So listen, back to blogging. If you have been blogging for a minute and you've been making money at it, like, praise God, keep going, keep doing it. Absolutely. But if you are somebody who is needing to make money in the online space right now, and you've been throwing around the idea of blogging, I would not suggest you do that. I would suggest you start with one-on-one consulting for sure. You can move to some sort of, mentoring, a course, a paid group or whatever, but I would not start with blogging. Not in the year 2023. And so you can fight me on it. We can arm wrestle over this because I know inevitably I'm going to get people that message me and they're like, no, I know this girl named Michelle and she's still making, and listen, that is the exception. Michelle's probably been around for a while. Michelle probably has a big Facebook page. Michelle probably has a big email list. You're not Michelle. If you don't have those things, I would ditch the blogging for now and try to get on podcasts. So again, that freebie was at jenniferallwood.com/podcast guest if you want to try to get on other people's platforms. And I hope this was helpful for you today. My heart is always to help you to be making money in the online space and to do it in a smarter way so that you're not spinning your wheels on things that are not going to be profitable. They're going to be taking your time, but they're not going to be bringing in revenue. So hopefully you heard my heart. I hope this was helpful for some of you. If you are not somebody who's considered blogging, but your friend Gina has, would you forward this podcast to Gina? And so that she can just kind of know my thoughts from somebody that's been in the online space for a long, long time. So bless you, my friends. I hope that this